Hey everyone, and welcome to the $1 million portfolio journey. It's the 13th of May, it's Tuesday, 13th of May, 2025. It's around 3 o'clock here in London, and I'm gonna do my investment for the day. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be investing £500 into the stock market, into my ISA, and I'm gonna be purchasing MicroStrategy. Yes, that's what I'm gonna do today. So for anyone who's new to my channel, this channel is all about building wealth quickly. There's nothing dirty about building wealth quickly. There's a lot of information on the internet, on YouTube, where you have to like invest £100 every month into the stock market, and you have to diversify your portfolio as much as possible to minimize volatility. But I've kind of like, spun that on its head. I've tried to like, turn the table a little bit. So basically what I do is I try to reach my goal of $1 million as soon as possible, and I'm not afraid of volatility. In fact, I'm trying to embrace volatility, try to harness volatility, to try to find high growth stocks where the volatility can take it a long way. In the short term you might see small losses, paper losses, but if you can handle that loss, I think you can build a $1 million portfolio much quicker than putting £100 a month and then waiting 40-50 years to hit that $1 million mark. So basically my investment goal is to reach $1 million, and I have four very basic simple rules. Very basic. So the first one is I only invest long term. So if I buy something today, I'm not gonna sell it for the next 5 years. I'm gonna keep it, and I'm gonna try and keep it for at least 10 years. So whatever I buy now, if I see it's up by 20% or 30%, I'm not gonna be tempted to sell it. Same time, if it's down 40-50%, I'm not going to be tempted to sell it. So that's the first rule. I'm not allowed to sell anything that I buy. This is a long-term portfolio. The second rule is I'm a very aggressive investor. So I try to invest £500 every day. So what I do, I'm working very hard. I've got multiple, I'm employed. I got multiple businesses and do a lot of freelancing work. And I try to maximize my time by making as much money as possible. So when I do make my money, I set aside some money for my expenses, which are very frugal. I try to be as frugal as possible, and then I set aside some money for taxation. So once I've got the household bills and the taxation out of the way, what I do is I invest the remaining money into the stock market. So I try to invest at least £300 a day, or I try to take that up to 500. My ultimate aspiration would be to invest £1,000 every day the stock market is open, sorry. But that's a long way away, and I'm just trying to maintain this as long as possible. And if I can hit that 1,000 per day investment, that would be even better. So that's rule number 2, aggressive investing. And rule number 3, volatile investing. So I'm a very volatile investor, so I invest in very volatile stocks like Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Nvidia. So these are probably some of the most volatile companies in the world. So it could be down 30-40-50%, but hopefully it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter to me because I have long-term conviction in these stocks. So if it goes down 40-50%, I'll be accumulating more units. I'm more concerned about accumulating more units in Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Nvidia than how much the price is moving on a daily basis. So that's rule number 3, volatile investing. And rule number 4, I try to be as tax efficient as possible because I'm paying tax. I've been paying taxes all my life. So if the government gives you tax efficient wrappers or accounts or anything like that, like an ISA or a SIP, I try to maximize it for myself and my family. So I try to maximize the tax efficiency in my investments, so later on I don't have to pay as much tax as I am paying now. So those are the four simple rules: long-term investing, aggressive investing, volatile investing, and also basically investing in a tax efficient way. And my focus basically is long-term on AI, autonomy, robotics, and Bitcoin. So those are my focus areas. That's where I think, the future is going to be. So I'm investing in that area now. So when it does go up, hopefully the returns are going to be compounded quite a lot. So that's how I invest. I get a lot of comments saying that's a lot of risk, you should diversify. I actually understand diversification. I've read a lot about diversification. I've read a lot about dollar cost averaging every month, but that's a good way of doing it, but everybody doesn't have to do it like that. I want to reach that $1 million goal as soon as possible and let that compound as much as possible. So I don't want to do it in a slow pace. I want to do it as soon as possible. So there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you can stand the volatility, as long as you can, see your portfolio go down 70-80% and not worry too much, I think it is possible. So there are times when Tesla was down 40, 50, 60%. MicroStrategy, I believe I started investing in MicroStrategy when it was around 480, and then it went all the way to 232. But I kept on investing every day, something every day. So every time the stock market goes down, it's an opportunity for you to train yourself with regards to volatility. So just experience the volatility, embrace the volatility, and just don't be too concerned about it. My main concern is like to accumulate as many units as possible. So if you are going to write a comment like that, please don't bother, because I understand diversification, I understand dollar cost averaging, I understand volatility, and I'm trying to like use it to my advantage rather than being afraid of it. So I don't diversify in 100 different companies because I believe quite a lot in these three companies. I've done a deep dive in everything, and Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Nvidia, I'm convinced are gonna do very well in the future. I could be wrong, but the data that I've looked at from the research that I've done, everything is pointing in that direction. As soon as the data changes, then I will change my investment thesis. But at the moment, everything is pointing towards a success for these three companies. So I'm not looking at social media and blindly following people. I've actually done a deep dive into Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Nvidia. I know what they're doing. I know what their goals are in the future. I see, mega trends that they're on, and hopefully, in the future I'll be proven right. So that's my investment philosophy. Now I'm just gonna have a look at how the investments are doing my portfolio. So my general investment account is just under 47k. My stocks and shares ISA is just over 25k, and my self-invested personal pension is just over 41k. When you take into account all the brokerage accounts that we hold for my family and myself, it comes to around $170,000 as of yesterday, the valuation. So I'm about 5.3x away from getting to that $1 million goal. So that's where it is at the moment. Now let's have a look at Tesla, how it's doing. So today it's up around 1%, trading at 321. So it's captured the 300 level. Hopefully it's gonna stay here or keep on going sideways or going up. I'm not really too concerned about that. Let's have a look at MicroStrategy. So again, it's broken the 400 barrier. It's trying to stay above 400. I'm not sure if it will, but I'm going to be purchasing more MicroStrategy today. And let's have a look at Nvidia, which is trading 127. So it's up around 4%. So this one is going up. So at the moment, I have 450 shares, just over 450 shares in Tesla. I have about 73 shares in MicroStrategy and 34 shares in Nvidia. But I'm going to be updating my spreadsheet today so you can see how many shares that I hold. So let me have a look. I'm just going to go into my ISA now. and then I'm going to go into my account. I'm going to look at my ISA allowance, which is on the top right hand side, and I have £13,350 remaining this year. So I'm going to top it up with £500 from my current account. So basically, this investment that I make is going to be free from capital gains tax. So if it 5x's, 10x's, 20x's, whatever, then I won't have to pay any capital gains on that. So that's one great thing about the ISA. So I'm just gonna go back to free trade. The good thing about free trade is the transfers are instant. Okay, so I've got £500 in my ISA now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my brokerage account. Sorry, I'm gonna go into my ISA, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into MicroStrategy, and I'm gonna put in a buy order for £500. Okay, so with £500, I'm gonna check how many shares I get. So I'm gonna get 1.6227. So I'm just gonna make a note of that and then update my spreadsheet. So that's done. So let me just quickly go to my spreadsheet now. So investment doesn't have to be complicated. Basically what I do is I do everything on my phone. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go and update how many shares I have in MicroStrategy. It's 1.6227. Okay, so that's done. So that's updated now. So I'm just gonna zoom in to see how many shares I have. So for Tesla, I have over 450 shares, just over. For MicroStrategy, I have just under 75 shares. And for Nvidia, I have 34 shares, just over. So my goal at the moment is to keep on investing until I get to 100 shares in MicroStrategy. Then my next goal is to get to 100 for Nvidia, and then I'm just going to go around and try and get 500, go to 500 shares in Tesla, then 200 shares in MicroStrategy, and then 200 in Nvidia. So I'm slowly trying to accumulate units, as you can see. So I'm doing okay, but I'm far away from my targets for MicroStrategy and Nvidia. So I'm paying more attention to those two companies. So that's the amount of units that I hold in Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Nvidia. I'm just going to go back to my brokerage account now. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the portfolio. So yeah, it's looking healthy at the moment compared to like 3-4 weeks ago, when everything was just down, and it was very depressing to see the brokerage accounts like showing a loss. But you have to remember, it's just a paper loss. You're not selling it. You believe in these companies. It looks really bad when you see your money going away, but this money hasn't actually gone away until you hit the sell button. If you believe in this company, then you will think of this as a discount, a bargain, which is how I manage to control my emotions. And ultimately it's gone back to it's catching up to where it was previously, and when it does, I'm gonna be showing a lot of profit. So yeah, so don't be afraid of volatility. Don't be afraid of doing research on companies and finding companies that you really believe in, companies where it could go down 70-80%, but as long as the facts haven't changed, as long as the mission of the company hasn't changed, you can just keep on investing. Diversification is for people who don't really want to pay too much attention to their investment, which is fine. But I'm kind of doing deep dives, so I can filter out some of the companies and choose some of the best ones that I believe in. And because my convictions are so high, that gives me the focus to earn more money to try and invest in these companies, because if I don't, I'm kind of missing out. So in a way, diversification, volatility, though people who like embrace diversification, they're kind of like missing out maybe on profits if they did a deep dive. People who are afraid of volatility are probably putting off their retirement or putting off higher returns because they cannot control that emotion. So, you know, making little tweaks to your psychology can go a long way. So that's it for today. Join me tomorrow when I post another video. I'll update my portfolio and hopefully I'm going to be investing another £500. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.